How you doing, seniors? It's my microphone, or a 4-pound single jack hammer. Maybe the kind of hammer that Isherwood's been carrying around a long time. In fact, he's been carrying it around for 300 and some odd pages. Yeah, 340, I think. The hammer was there on the first page with him, and the hammer's there on the end on the Golden Gate Bridge, where he dropped dead. That he did. So with that, let's bring this book to an end, shall we? So, George Stewart's finale. Obviously, the climax of the book, as we discussed the other day, was the execution of Charlie for a crime he didn't commit. And then, of course, the end of civilization with the death of Joey. Now, you may be wondering or considering that I may have lost my mind in thinking that George Stewart hates civilization and most of humanity. So I thought I'd walk you through a couple parts, right? And if you just kind of look at what happens at the end, or I should say even at the very beginning of passage of year 22. There must be in their social bond something singularly captivating and far superior to anything to be boasted of among us. For thousands of Europeans are Indians, and we have no examples of even one of those aborigines having from choice become European. Saint Jean de Crévecoeur from 1800. Example that I've actually heard Ben Franklin write about and have read several times. Native Americans wanted nothing to do with the European culture. Nothing. And all the great things that we have promised. And today, if you know anything about the Native American cultures of America or Australia, most of them have nothing to do with the West. The West being the United States, Europe, all those things. So there's no love lost, okay? We love our civilization, but our civilization, as we talked about before, has its issues, okay? And one of them is out of touch with nature. And in this book, Isherwood at the end, who is at the end of his life, everybody's dead but he and Ezra for a while, he simply is sitting there like an oracle on a hill, and he is visited by a very young Jack, say maybe his great-grandson Jack, who, by the way, is half naked with jeans on and a animal skin and bow and arrow, and seems to be quite content with this, right? The Native Americans, for all intents and purposes, and many tribes, lived simple lives. They were, from what historians and bring to us, were rather laid back and enjoying themselves. And so there's definitely something to be said here. But if you go the fact that the survivors of Isherwood's original tribe have turned into basically Native Americans, and then there is the commentary in which Stewart lashes out and talks about, such as on 326, the fact that the great buildings and edifices of mankind will be eventually taken by the fire of rust, the fire of decay, or the fire of flames. It'll all be gone, all right? All those great things that we built will eventually be gone. And some will take longer than others, but, you know, it goes back to that poem that we read at the very beginning, and the poem that is on the website, Ozymandias, where Ozymandias is saying, look at all these great things that I have built here in ancient Egypt, and none of them are there anymore. So on 331, there's a scathing line, and I hope in your homework that some of you have this, right? Because this is what I said, the last part, read these, find the best lines and tell me why they are the best lines. 331. So if you come up with this, you're hitting it right on the head, especially you guys that are planning on going on to college. These are the kinds of things that you're looking for in pieces of literature, and you have to take a little bit in college. But civilization had gone years ago, and now the last of the city was burning around them, and yet the young men were happy. From the cave we come, and to the cave we go. And as the city burns, the men are just trucking across the bridge to get to the other side. They're hiding in a cave to survive, and they're fine with it. So, continuing on, talks about the fact that our civilization, capitalism, okay, is a driving wedge. I forget all the good things about capitalism, right? The fact that you can have a phone in your pocket in which I could film something and put it out there into a cloud that you can access anytime and see this beautiful visage. That's a product of capitalism, right? So let's not, we understand all the great things we have because of capitalism, but some people myopically focus on the negative, and Stewart is definitely tuned into that, okay? I mean, he says about mankind, about these young men, right? This is on the bottom of 334, the top of 335, okay? In civilization, he thought these young men would have been considering one another as rivals. That's in the capitalistic society. Because in the days of civilization, there were many men. They did not think much about the world outside of them because man seemed to be greatly stronger than all that outside world. So they thought mostly about how they could get better of other people. And so they were likely not to trust each other altogether, not even brother and brother. But now that civilization is dead and the world is a better place, okay? Now, he thought, when men are very few, each of these young men wanders freely with his bow in hand and his dog at heel. Okay? It's a better place now that everybody's dead. Okay? And then finally, going into chapter 3, a couple more scathing rebukes to leave us on. Okay? This is on 341. Yet certainly he could not help thinking that the men had lost that old dominance and the arrogance with which they had once viewed the animals. So now man is part of nature. He's not so hot as he used to be, okay? And he's barely surviving just like everything and everybody else. And I'll leave you with two last comments. One was the intercalary, how he paints up on 331. It's very interesting that he paints up 4 tribes, okay? And in these 4 tribes, how these 4 tribes are viewed by historians sort of long into the future. I'm not going to read the other 3. One is about a very religious group. One is about, and they talk about some people are dark-skinned, some people are lighter-skinned, whatever, speak English. But this is on 332. He talks about Isherwood's tribe, again, from an anthropological point of view. Here they shoot with the bow skillfully, and their hunting dogs are trained to give tongue, code for they bark when they see something. They love assembly and debate. Their women folk walk proudly. The symbol of their god is a hammer. But they pay him no great reverence. Right? And so that is his view of the tribe. And if you're not entirely sold on the fact that George Stewart can't stand civilization and thinks it would be better off if we were all blown to bloody bits, you might look on the second to last page, 344, where one of the most scathing lines I've read in a piece of literature ever. He says at the very end of the first paragraph, he suddenly thought of all that had gone to build civilization. Dash, love the dash, you know that. Of slavery and conquest and war and oppression. Well, no mention there about, Disney World, massage chairs, Camaros that come in 4, 6, and 8 cylinder. Nothing good like that, okay? No cell phones or Candy Crush, okay? Nothing like that. He mentions those 4 things: slavery, conquest, war, and oppression. No, nothing positive. That's his view. Nothing positive comes from mankind and civilization. It's pretty dark, actually. Yeah, pretty grim. So with that, I will say to you, my seniors, this is the last book that you will be assigned. We have capstone now, and me and my hammer shall bid you adieu.